Few seconds here to get ready, handle whatever he has to handle.
Guys, the crowd here has been absolutely insane. I don't even know if the microphones don't really pick it up, right? But
no,
the crowd is screaming.
I don't
to the
think
point
the
where my
mics would
chair
do
is
it
shaking.
justice, actually, but
probably not. It's just absolutely. It just gives me chills actually down my spine every time I hear it. But looks like Socke has indicated he is ready to go, and we're gonna go ahead and start the game. Game number 3. Tell me how you doing, man.
I'm great, man. Super excited to get into this one, of course. Puma, Socke, it's all on the line here. All the chips are down, if you will, Froden. It all comes down to this game for them.
All right, so looks like we're getting ready to go into Daybreak. Oh, I love this map. I love this map. Daybreak is great, especially because of the variety of play we can see. But let's go ahead and introduce our players first. Who do we have here in the bottom left, Dumbo?
Well, that would be none other than Socke. Alternative attacks, Socke to be specific, spawning as the red Protoss. And then in the northeast section of the map, we've got Evil Geniuses, Puma.
Puma.
Or as
Apollo says,
Puma.
And, you know, we'll see whether or not Puma is able to execute the same way he wanted to. That was the Puma that we know. His ability to have a sixth sense in TVP.
Yeah.
The one that was showing great play. But Socke showed really good game sense in game number 1. He actually showed good game sense in game number 2 as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, Socke, it was a very good game. I love the execution on both levels. But we'll see who can get the better of whom in this game.
Great English.
Thank you.
Proper grammar. Of course, proper grammar, English, Froden's second language, for those of you that don't know.
Yeah.
He speaks mathematics as his first language.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to actually talk.
So, you can see 12 gateway going down for Socke.
Ooh. Dumbo, what do we have here?
And some players like to go ahead and proxy building. So you know what? Going to go ahead and proxy almost in actually the same location as where that proxy robo was before, up in the northern...
in the most geographic.
Yeah, the northern area. So popular area to go ahead and proxy off. Again, okay. Proxy barracks allows much better pathing. Can get a contingent of Marines there much quicker. And as you know, Protoss in the early game quite susceptible to pressure. You can really make this pay off very well.
We'll see how Puma chooses to execute this, because keep in mind that he is racking up a considerable amount of minerals as well. And the reason why, of course, is for his orbital command, so he's not going to commit to double barracks. I've seen actually proxy triple barracks on ladder on streams. Whenever I watch some Protoss players play in Korea, I saw triple proxy Marines, which was absolutely insane. And it's pretty strong if Protoss is unprepared, but for the most part, we'll see how good Socke's game sense is. This is one of the small things that will Protoss be able to detect it, because there are some things that are kind of off.
Well, yeah, and here's the thing. Socke will know his timings, so when he gets to the main, he will spell that. But in the position where he built that barracks, it's proxied, but it's not proxied in a position that is that noticeable. So I'm going to go ahead and actually throw down a bunker. Almost as playing as Zerg. That will obviously be discovered by the Zealot. Going to beat it on home, and Socke should already know that something's going on.
It's a little bit of also a mind game too, because on Daybreak it's actually one of the maps you really can go 15-16 Nexus on.
Yeah.
And so Puma, no harm, no foul, just going to go ahead and pack on up. Yeah. And I mean, Socke, he's pretty much doing a very safe build. Look at it, going for 2 more gates, and he doesn't actually have a second gas yet here, Tumba.
No, you know what? How much energy does he have
on his Nexus?
On the Nexus,
he's completely out.
Where's his and okay, so there we go. You can see actually Warp Gate now.
Oh wow, he's gonna go really aggressive 3-gate pressure, because he's getting a Stalker out, and he's gonna try to see if he can hit before Puma gets a sizable, formidable defense. And Puma's going for triple command center. Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay, wow. Well, this could go in a couple directions. First of all, of course, it's still possible, very possible, for Puma to hold. If he, because the whole idea is that because Socke doesn't have gas, he doesn't have force fields.
Right.
So he can't necessarily prevent the repair. But the idea is, will he have this, any idea that this is coming? In fact, the only form of scouting is this SCV, which saw the proxy pylon, so maybe he gets a little bit of idea.
Oh, there he goes. Okay, responding in kind with another bunker. Very smart play out of Puma. But what he wants to do here is pick off this SCV. He does not want to allow that bunker to complete, of course. as he is going to get. Does he force off? No. Okay, second SCV is going to make him a look. More reinforcements arriving now. That bunker.
That's really smart, actually, because he's trying to see if he can draw the units away. Oh, man, he's
just
trying to see if he can
the bunker. That's gorgeous there. Out of
Absolutely.
Socke. So great decision there. Now he's just trying to get in where he fits in if he can. He's going to take whatever he can get here, Froden. And, you know, this aggression could be quite deadly. A little OGSMC-esque, if you will.
Well, Puma's command center is under pressure here now. He's using this command center to buy time in terms of absorbing hits.
What's ironic about that is you usually see the Terran doing this against the Protoss, where the Protoss uses the Nexus to tank. In essence, that's what Puma is doing with his command center.
And we do see that Puma is waiting for a good number of Marines out and trying to see if he can protect. Oh, that orbital command is getting pretty low. Will Protoss be able to snipe it? I don't think so, because the SCVs will be able to repair, so that's a good crisis averted there. But Socke is expanding behind this. The only thing that's kind of dangerous is that he actually might be trapping his units as well.
Yeah, those units, he needs to be very careful with his control there.
Yeah.
That's a great point you're making. And, you know, right now Puma definitely on the defensive.
And we do see that. Oh, Socke is going to force field the bomb of the ramp. A nice little job there by Puma, evacuating as well, and trying to see if he can hug it before anything could happen. But more importantly, though, Puma, he doesn't really have that many units.
Okay, yeah, here's the thing. Okay, Socke being able to go ahead and expand behind this is really what's adding the benefit to this game. That's the story of the game right now, because, I mean, he's been able to delay mining, almost took out that entire orbital command there, and you saw was able to break both bunkers. So being the fact that he now has his expansion finished and up, will be able to support more units off a 2-base economy, while Puma has had to focus primarily on just staying alive. There's going to be a timing here that he's going to have to hit, and he cannot allow Puma really to climb back into this. If he allows Puma to go for that 3-base economy and tries to get too caught up, as you can see him taking an early third himself now, that's where it can get really dicey for him. So Socke needs to enjoy his lead here, does not want to throw this game away.
He needs to also be really careful about how long he stays, because he has to get a good sense of what Terran can actually move out with medevacs. Because you can see right now that Puma is content with just pretty much teching up right now until he can expand, because Socke can just force field the bottom of his ramp.
Yeah.
And now Puma's kind of caught in an awkward position where he can't really capitalize on the fact that he has 3 orbital commands. And Socke is free to actually macro up for just a limited amount of time before those medevacs come out.
And you know what? Stim is only a quarter of the way done, Froden. That is a big crux. That's a big problem right now for Puma. And the only issue is Socke really can't do anything to manipulate the fact, or to capitalize, rather, on the fact that Stim is only a quarter of the way done. He has to be content to just sit there, contain, and wait for an indication that Puma is ready to go ahead and move out.
Yeah, meanwhile, back at the base of Socke, he is getting double forges, things that are pretty expected. Oh, and great timing by Socke, just as the starport finishes up and medevacs can come out, he leaves the base. So, looks like we do see the attempt to float a third. Wow.
Wow, Ninja
is it
third.
going to the top left?
But you know what? That actually may prove to be a bad decision out of Puma, just for the simple fact that the early third out of Socke is so close proximity, you can almost bet that that will get scouted.
Yeah, the later the game goes, the more exposed Puma will be. But
I have to say, though, you know, one thing we see Korean players do so very well is take a Marine, take a worker, scout the map all the time. It takes a couple of seconds just to go ahead and Q1 around the map to do so, and foreigners really need to start picking up on these subtle little things and doing things like this. To be honest, you know, taking a probe, queuing it around the map can do things like find that sneaky expansion quite easily. And you know, I hope that Socke has the game presence and the game awareness to know that something's up there.
Well, he doesn't exactly know if Puma has a third orbital command. There's nothing that really indicates to him whatsoever. So I wouldn't blame Socke if he didn't know, but at the same time, he's still trying to increase his map presence around the map. You can see that proxy pylons give him eyes everywhere. And for now, Socke is just content with just macroing up, getting his robotics up, as well as his double forge. Socke looks like he's in a pretty good spot economically, as his third is also pretty much online and operational. And Socke is in a pretty good position here. Puma's starting to really catch up, though, because, again, he had all those SCVs stored up for a long time, ready to work. And we do see that Puma is now catching up in supply ever so slightly, despite being down about 40
Well, this is what I was sort of afraid of, Froden. This is where I said Socke has to be careful with just how much he decides to go ahead and macro up without paying attention to the fact that Puma does have 3 bases and can propel himself ahead so very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do see that Puma at this point. What is his game plan? Because he's the one who has to kind of make a play. Socke is more than content with sitting back. He's on game number 1. He's like, okay, I'm okay playing defense and sitting on my 3 bases as long as I can get those 5 and 6 gases. Those will be at the
hold the phone.
times.
Take a look. It looks like he is going to scout. Is he going to see it? Is he going to see it here? Does he see it?
Yeah.
Yes, and that's what I'm talking about. Take those probes. You know what? One thing I got to say about Socke, he's very good at proxy pylons. He lays them everywhere. Boom. That's what he needed to do right there. Socke discovers that Ninja expands. So turning out not to be the best decision there for Puma.
But Puma knows that the Stalkers are not there, so he's going to go ahead and take the initiative, saying you don't have 5 of your Stalkers. But he does scan and see a huge amount of remaining other units. As Socke just warped in a lot more Stalkers here back at his main. So great defense, and Puma realizing that he didn't want to overcommit his units and lose a huge amount of the supply. Great defenses.
Socke, and we've seen this so much from him, it makes me scratch my head a lot of the time because the player does so many things right. Socke does so many things correctly that it astonishes me that he doesn't win more games than he does.
Well, we do see that Puma is trying to take another base here. Now, he technically would be on 4 command centers of some sorts, but important upgrades are now finishing up, +2/+2 in charge, which would give a lot more mobility to Protoss, just the charge dots can be everywhere, and it just gives them the ability to defend drops as well as initiate a lot of attacks. We do see Mobius Reactor and Ghosts on the way as well for Puma, so
no big
really
surprise
important
there.
units. Yeah, really important units coming out for both teams.
Well, Puma utilizing those Ghosts so very well in the previous matchup as well, so right now, and this is where Socke, as you said, typically content to sit back. It's going to go for a little bit of map presence and a near miss here as both armies just collide. This goes back to one thing you were talking about also, Froden, which was the fact that there's a moment there where you're not sure where the Terran army is exactly, and there's a moment where he's not sure. You got to go with best guess scenario. Where would I be?
Best possible case.
Yeah, well, best possible case. Where would I be if I was the Terran right now, kind of thing. So.
Well, it's important that Puma actually control that watchtower, and more importantly, solve the expansion attempt. And this expansion is a very, very, very crucial part of the map because you can kind of dictate the battle here by the center of the debris as well as the ramps. So it's a really important position of the map because you can kind of fall back to that spot if you ever are in trouble. So we'll see whether or not Puma's going to allow it, but for the most part, it's still a very, very even game. This EMPs could determine the entire outcome of the battle, whether or not those ghosts will turn out to be very valuable or not.
No, for sure, absolutely. So, essentially right now you can see just posturing out of Puma, looking for an opening to go ahead and being very active on the map, and this usually typically pays off so very well for him as well. So this is kind of what he did in the last game until he was patient enough until he could find an opening to strike, and he had Ghost cloaking about halfway done. This is where I like to see Socke take a little bit more initiative actually and try to make something happen.
Yeah, and Puma's third is completed, and he is using his factory to get a good vision on his opponent. In the meantime, we do see some zealots harassing, which is exactly what Socke needs to do, pulling back a significant part of the army. Puma only stemming a couple of his units here, but more importantly, he's going to have to stall a lot of his economic gathering. And at the same time, Socke could use this to get position on the map.
That's what I was talking about. He had to create an opportunity for himself, and that's what he did. Starting to go ahead and harass now. He's got those two Templar out.
Looks like the Templar do end up beating back one of the ghosts, and looks like the Marines and Marauders did a massive amount of stimming, so Puma did take a lot of damage there, but managed to clean up some really important units. Now his fourth base is also, he pitched his stake in the ground, and now he has a tent up himself in the middle of the map. Now Puma, he is starting to get a little bit behind though, because again, those small little harassments here and there, especially more zealots here at the
I love it. No, that's exactly, as you said, it's exactly what he needs to do. And again, he's going to have to tax Puma here. Puma, seemingly a little bit maybe tired. It's been a long day, both players. But Puma, down to 153 supply of 180, whereas Socke enjoying a supply lead of 187 now of 200. And upgrades right now, if we check in on the upgrades actually, well, hold that thought for a second. Actually, extended thermal lance about to finish. Blink right behind it. Colossus in production, and a dark shrine going down as well.
So, just again, those kinds of things you really need to do. I mean, Socke has the gas flexibility for it, for sure, and he, especially with that rich Vespene geyser here in the center of the map. So we'll see whether or not Socke chooses to be, again, more passive. Keep in mind that he still has a huge amount of his units scattered around. He's got stalkers and different units at different expansions. So the most important thing here is for him to make sure to just not get caught out of position. It's just so devastating if these ghosts get strong EMPs off. And looks like Socke, Puma, trying to figure out where each other are. Again, this is a battle position of prediction.
Yeah,
where do you
absolutely.
think you can predict your opponent to be?
Yeah, and right now, Socke doing a good job of really being everywhere. You know, he loves his proxy pylons. He is currently supply blocked, but he's going to get that cleared up right away. Dark Shrine about to finish, and you know what? Being 3-3, he started those shields upgrades, or rather, shield upgrade.
Oh, wow.
Oh!
EMPs on the Archons, and they are now officially useless in the battle if they take any damage whatsoever, and that is the initiative for Puma.
And catching those Colossus, too, from the side. Both Colossus going to go down. Only left with Stalkers left, and was that the key engagement that Puma needed to get back into this game, into the commanding lead. He is now in the driver's seat.
Wow, Tumba, I am absolutely impressed there by Puma, seeing the opportunity and seizing it by the horns. We do see some attempts for Zealot run-bys here, but should not be able to do enough damage as Puma is content enough of falling back. Now the important thing though is that he capitalizes on this moment of weakness because he's missing Colossus, he's missing some really important T3 units, and he did manage to sacrifice them for minimal losses compared to him, and he is up in supplies. Socke trying to fall back. He does have a good abundance of resources to warp in, but he needs a little bit of time, which
and that's time that Puma is not going to allow for, unfortunately, for Socke. As you see, he's on the map. He knows all of the positions. He knows all of the Nexus locations, and he's on the way right now. He's heading over toward Zock's real estate. Now, the question is, will he have enough time to macro back up? It looks like, in fact, he did, as he has maybe enough ground army there. How many Vikings do we see there out of Puma?
We see 4. Yeah. And Puma didn't want to overcommit on them originally because he didn't see that many Colossus initially. He just kept them just in case. Most importantly, though, I didn't actually notice, but Socke actually picked off the ghosts as well, which is a big thing, and only 1 ghost from Puma remains, so he's actually not going to overstep his bounds either. I thought he had more, but of course ghosts are so good at blending in, which is even more impressive that Socke picked them off.
Well, typically what you see when the Protoss loses their army a lot of times was GG, but now the Protoss have learned to expand off more than one base, because, you know, so many 2-base timings have occurred. DTs as well now on the map. They can re-macro armies, albeit not always as fast as the other races. They're very deadly with their synergy.
Absolutely. So we do see that Puma is still zoning out his opponent here, trying to see he can just, again, shut down the vision of Socke, but he's been everywhere on this map. He is going to scan out. Socke does have the expansion advantage. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bases compared to the 4 here of Puma, so Puma has to make a play soon, as right now Socke, for some reason I thought this was an expansion based off the move, but this is actually the army, so again, he wants to get a good position here, so it looks like Socke trying to see if he can gear up here. The Zealots are in the behind the Archons going forward here. Does he land the EMPs he wants? He only gets 1 off, as the Burn Shield does pop, and I think Socke realizes I do not want to walk into a horde of EMPs.
No, absolutely not, as you can see now. More ghosts, though, for the Terran Puma there. 200 of 200 currently, and Socke also, we'll call him maxed out. He's close enough, I think we can call it. And we'll round up, in other words, Froden. So, oh wow, so catching some Vikings here out of position, is able to pick off 1 and damage another greatly.
Wow, we do see actually Puma is still moving towards the southern part of the map.
Look at all those medevacs.
But yeah, he's been doing a good job controlling there. Now again, Socke wants a good position here. Oh no, his Stalkers are in front. He's going to blink behind, letting the charge slots forward. Archon's doing as much damage as possible. Puma spreading his units. Does he get the EMPs he wants? He spreads them out everywhere, but the AoE damage might be just too much. Archons and Colossi doing a great amount of damage. Great positioning on the Vikings to snipe the Colossus.
Snipe those Colossus, and that's going to be money. That's what Puma knows that he had to do. Both supplies just about equalized now. Socke is down to 120, 117 and plummeting, but Puma also badly damaged in that fight as well.
Well, Puma did lose a lot of his ghosts, and that was very critical. He's cutting back, but Marauders are not as good late game against the Zealots, and it looks like Puma right here trying to still stay on top of his macro. Great cutting around the charge shots, making sure they can't add DPS, and those medevacs proving their word at this point, keeping those Marauders alive way longer than they should be, as Socke right now lost so much gas. I wish I can get a counter of how much gas exactly was lost, but Puma actually managed to keep 3 ghosts alive during that fight, which would prove to be very critical if this game continues to go on.
As you can see now, Archons mixed in with a small amount of gateway units doing its best to make its presence known on the map. Socke really, in these engagements, not coming out the way he wants to.
Yeah, and now Terran's starting to catch up in upgrades here as +3 armor will finish, but will that have the opportunity to flourish here? We do see more cutting from Puma as he is trying to avoid the splash damage.
In the mix, by the way, but he is moving back toward that missile turret that will give actually detection. So Archons, though, and Charizard's doing very, very well against that bio, but landing the Vikings now.
Wow.
And again, supplies equalizing.
Yeah, but you see the Archon's actually absorbing a lot of damage, but there isn't any follow-up. Socke keeps pushing his army back, but this is because he has that slight economic advantage. You can tell.
Yeah, you see movement, too, in the bottom right half of the map. He's got a host of Charizards there, along with a DT up in that mix.
Yeah, you see Puma's starting to thin economically a little bit just because he doesn't have as much assortment of bases as his opponent. Socke's starting to have that 6 o'clock expansion, but this whole top left expansion has been a hero for Socke. It's been safe. It's been another source of gas.
That was the expansion that we had seen Puma take initially.
Yeah, and especially with things like upgrades, equalizing, compositions being exactly what both players want. Not only just positioning, but follow-up resources for resupply is really big, as Puma right now realizing he needs to actually make something happen because he can't actually keep up with this production of Protoss for the moment. After this next attack, you can see that Socke has been constantly investing in more gas units, while Puma, he hasn't been able to pump out units as fast because of the warp mechanic. We see that Puma still using his scans very, very nicely, but still trying to take a good position with his Vikings, making sure he can hit the Colossus.
It looks like Socke getting dangerously close. Now, in every engagement we've seen so far, Froden, he's been able to flank and take out the Colossus. Once again, Socke able to macro up 3 more Colossus. He needs to be sure to keep those Colossus alive. He has a lot of Archons, a lot of charge lots. Very scary looking army for Socke. Socke is 200 of 200. Puma is 182 of 200. It's now, I think, time for Socke to go ahead and make something happen.
Oh, Socke, he's going to try to even make big plays. This could be a huge defining moment of the game. We do see the Marines and Marauders are put in a corner. That is terrible news for Puma. He can't really kite.
1 Viking left and only 1 Viking, and here we go. All 3 Colossus still alive. That's what I said he had to do. A little bit of micro.
Oh, man.
All that splash damage. 2 Ghosts left now for Puma. And has Socke done it? He has! GG!
Wow, GG! Socke takes down EG's Puma in a huge upset, I would say, because Puma were known for his TVP, and it looks like we see Socke will advance to Championship Sunday.
I mean, how many finals have we seen?
Wow.
And again, and I've been talking about Socke saying he's got so many good habits. I'm ready for him to start winning championships. He can do it outside of Europe. I know he can. I know he can do it on U.S. soil here at MLG. And you know what? Demonstrating there when it's all on the line that he has the chops to do so. How many great series have we seen between Puma and MC, who is known as probably, arguably, the world's best Protoss? And if Puma gives MC that many problems, and Socke can take a series off Puma, that tells me that, you know what?
He's got what it takes.
He's got what it takes.
I mean, Socke is still an unbelievably solid player, and it was great because he was able to just constantly pressure, and Puma eventually just got caught against the wall. That was a very big thing in terms of positioning because Puma, he's so great when he has space to work with and really maximize the effect, but just was not able to do it. Was cornered and did not have the answer to Colossus and Archons, and that is the point in which Protoss that every Terran fears late game. And that's pretty much it for that. But
yeah, I think that's going to wrap up our Saturday, guys. It's been great. Thank you so much for tuning in. MLG Winter Championships here in Columbus, Ohio. I'm Tumba.
And I'm Frodan.
We'll see you guys.